Raven fans, Oriole fans, a little later than usual, but we are ready now for to record the Ravori Sports podcast and subscribe to all of our social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. Thank you very much for joining us today on all of our social media platforms. Definitely. So if you're watching us, obviously you're watching us now on YouTube, you're watching us on Twitch, you're watching us on Twitter, you're watching us on our Facebook page. You're watching us on our Twitter page. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for growing our platform as well. We appreciate it. We appreciate got more Twitter followers, got more YouTube followers, got more. Thank you. If for any reason you're watching this and you like the content and you want to hear about Baltimore sports, definitely thank you very much for checking us out today, this morning, especially. So thank you very much for going ahead and getting us squared away. A couple things: Genesis Notary Services /Facebook. We're going to be doing our notary business, so we definitely come out all the time. Definitely right now I'm in the middle of training for apostille and also to field inspection. So we're going to be adding that along with our wedding officiant, along with our mobile notary. Also going to be training soon our loan signing, definitely like that. If you need general notary services, we will come right out to you mobile, wherever you are in the area. We're going to go ahead and get that taken care of for you as well. Also, as well for you, we're going to be in White Post, Virginia on Saturday. So definitely come check us out. We're going to be selling our merchandise live right there at the Shen Valley Flea Market right there. So definitely check us out. And the products you can still get on our website right now. ravorisports.company.site. All right. Thank you very much. Let's get down to business. All right, so we are getting near the season here, so we're going to do a predictions here of the 53-man roster. So in preseason, teams, they can carry a bunch of players. You can carry, I'm not sure what the number is now, but you can carry 80 or 90 players on the preseason roster. It used to be this several phases of cut down. Now I think the coaches and things like that, they fought for to keep one because that helps them get the players ready for the season. Because if you could carry more in preseason and you don't have to cut, helps your players and play less players and all that other stuff. So as opposed to what you were doing before. So now what you can do is once the season starts, you're going to get the 53. Okay. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to predict the 53-man roster for the Ravens. So out of all the players that they have on the roster now, they're going to cut them down. 53-man rosters are interesting in the fact they can look different for different teams. They can look different years for the same team. So for instance, just use this for an example. So let's say the Ravens decide to move on from Patrick Carr. They may not carry a fullback at all. They may carry an extra tight end. So those are the type of things we'll go over. Or certain teams may carry more guys for special teams and etc. So that's the thing that goes into a 53-man roster when you actually go ahead and look at it. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the 53-man roster. We'll go ahead and explain it. This is the Ravori Sports predictions for the 53-man roster. On Monday, we should know after the preseason game. I believe it's Monday is the cut down day where we should go ahead and know where the Ravens will go ahead and have the 53. Okay, so here we go at the start. Obviously, Lamar Jackson with the brand new contract is QB1. Tyler Huntley is going to be QB2. These will be the only two quarterbacks on the roster. Anthony Brown, I don't think is going to be on the team. I'm not sure he's even going to be on the practice squad. He might be Josh Johnson, I think they're going to for sure cut him. I think there's another chance he might be on the press squad. I think they must really like him. They brought him back several times. So I'm thinking he's a coach in waiting. Maybe they got their eyes on him as a coach. Maybe they got their eyes on him, on the practice squad all season, maybe running with, because he's decent enough of a vet. But they're only going to carry these two, I'm sure. It's going to be Lamar Jackson, Tyler Hunter. They're not going to use another roster spot for it. Running backs. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, Pat Ricard. We're going to address the rumor right now. Word is the Ravens have been in on Jonathan Taylor, whatever that is. They're not going to give up a first round pick. So that could change in that sense. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is what you're going to get here. J.K. is going to be here. Gus Edwards is going to be here. Justice Hill, Pat Ricard is going to be here. A lot of clamoring for Keaton Mitchell. I don't know if there's a spot for him. I wouldn't think it is unless you're getting rid of Pat Ricard as fourth running back. I don't think you're going to carry this many running backs because I just don't. I don't think they're going to carry that many. I think Keaton Mitchell, they're going to like him on the practice squad. They're going to try and put him on there. He does have a shot. Also, too, one of those is very interesting. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I posted this. I'm seeing Justice Hill run a lot behind JK with the first team. So some people are saying that they're preserving Gus Edwards. Some people are saying that, that means that just, that could be the case. Or has he leaped above him on the depth chart? That'll be interesting. So if you are moving spots around and maybe considering a Keaton Mitchell, has Gus fallen out of favor? New offensive coordinator, new offense. I don't think that's going to happen though. But it's interesting. I don't think it's a big of a lock. As it was at camp, at the beginning of the camp. This is pretty confident here. Odell, receiver 1, Zay Flowers, number 2, Bateman, I have it 3, Bateman maybe 2, depending on the play. I think like Zay Flowers, I think they'll be situational. Nelson Aguilar has had a good camp. He'll be on the street. Devin Duvernay, 5, kick and punt returner. I think that probably saved this spot for sure. I think that probably kept this spot on the roster. Talon Wallace, number 6. Talon Wallace has had a good camp. That's it. I don't think you're going to carry any more than that. There's a small chance they don't carry 6 wide receivers, but I think they will. I think it'll be, this is the way it's going to look as far as the receiver room. I don't think any other receiver has established himself. Dante Demas, Sam Ryan came maybe the closest, but that's what it's going to look like, the receiver room. Tight ends, Charlie Kolar, Isaiah Likely, and Mark Andrews make the team. I think Andrews, there's no question about it. He's maybe the best in the league at his position. Isaiah Likely has been good all camp. Charlie Kolar, it's been okay. I don't think he's blown his spot at all. There's going to be some call for Travis Vedvik to go ahead and make the team. I think that's possible. So it is possible that they carry 4. I don't think they do. I think he's going to have to be on the practice squad. Or again, the Ricard thing plays into play. They may have him, if they do not carry a fullback, he may make the team that way. My guess is he's pretty much a lock for the practice squad. I think that's the way it's going to go with him. I don't think they're going to cut Ricard. I don't think they're going to cut Charlie Kolar. I think these are the guys they keep. O-line. This is going to be some years they carry 10. Some teams carry 8 or 7. I think it's 9. Ronnie Stanley at left guard. Ronnie Stanley at left tackle. John Simpson at guard. Travis Lindenbaum at center. Kevin Zeitler at guard. Morgan Moses at right tackle. The super 6-man Patrick McCurry. Daniel Falele, probably the future maybe right tackle. Sam Mustapher, free agent coming this year at fullback. The rookie Lalutu rather. He is going to be at guard and tackle. So he's still in the guard competition with John Simpson. I think he's going to be at tackle as well. He's going to play some of that as well. Played that in college. No Ben Cleveland. He didn't make it. I don't think he makes the team. When he has played, he's played at right guard, kind of in a reserve role late in games. I think they're going to try and move him, and I think somebody will take him. I'd be surprised if somebody didn't take him, but I don't think he makes this team. I don't. I'd be surprised. I think if they carry 10, it's possible, but I don't think I don't think they're going to carry that many. I think this is the 9 that the Ravens are going to actually carry. This is pretty rock solid here. Uh, Daniel, I'm sorry, Justin Matabuke is going to start at the end. Michael Pierce at the tackle. Bradrick Washington at the other defensive end. Brent Urban, the John Harbaugh guy, seems to follow John Harbaugh around at defensive end. Young Travis Jones is at the backup nose tackle. Angelo Blackston at the other end position. Um, Possible that they only carry 5. Blackson may not make it, but I think he does. I think you're going to carry. I think at these positions you want to carry 6 guys. Um, you got 3 starters and you got 3 reserves. I think that's about right. I think that's what they're going to do. It is possible that they don't do that. It is possible. If you want to hold a roster spot, they may go ahead and put another linebacker in or something like that. But I think this pretty much is what it's going to be. Right? You're going to carry this group here with that. All right, linebackers. You're going to carry 10. You're going to have quite a bit. Some of these also, too, you're going to play on special teams. So this is why you're carrying so many. Adafi Owe is on one side. Roquan Smith inside. Patrick Queen inside. David Ajabo is on the inside. So those are your quote-unquote starters. Travis Bowser, we still don't know if he's physically healthy, starting to get back. He should be there. All reports say he should make the team and be there for week 1. Malik Harrison has been pretty good, I think, during camp and on special teams as well. He's there. Trent Simpson, young Trent Simpson, 3rd-round pick, was going to be there along with the also 4th-round pick, I think it was, Travis Robinson. He's going to be on the team. Jadeveon Clowney, I think, is also too. Now, some may put him at D-line. That would be the only thing here. I think for the defense that the Ravens have, definitely put him at linebacker. Outside, Christian Welch, I think, special teams guy, make it. Phillips, I think, is clamoring. Doesn't quite make it. I think Christian Welch is the guy. I think the special teams, he's very good on special teams, and I think that's definitely a spot for him on the roster as well. Interesting to see, I think what would help his cause is to see what would happen with Travis Bowser. That's very interesting to see what happens there with Travis Bowser as well. So keep that in mind. Marlon Humphrey, obviously. Rocky Sin makes the team. Arthur Mollett makes the team. Kevon Seymour makes the team. Ronald Darby makes the team. There's 5 cornerbacks there. Caveat here is what happens with Marlon. Is he going to be on the active roster? I think the big question here, Marlon, is he on the active roster week 1? The Ravens in the injury report, sometimes you just don't know. You just don't know what they're going to say. Sometimes they don't tell the truth. Sometimes they're not. We don't know how long Marlon's going to be out. If he's out for a week or 2, I think he's on the active roster week 1, even if he doesn't play. I think if it's going to be several weeks, they may put him on IR. They may put him on PUP or something for the first few weeks. Kevon Seymour, I think he's played his way on the team. Kyle Blue Kelly didn't look good. I think as excited as people were, he was a late round draft pick. I'm pretty sure that they're going to stash my practice. I think he belongs there. I don't think he's ready for any game action yet from what I've been seeing, when I saw in the game. He doesn't look ready to go ahead and make a roster yet. But we'll see how that goes. I think this is it. The free agents, Sin, Mollett, and Darby, I think, are going to be your corners as well. Couple more position groups. Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton are your starters for free and strong safety. Kyle Hamilton's been really good at camp. He's been really good, too, at strong safety. So that's important. Last year kind of played a lot of the slot as well. Brandon Stevens hasn't had a great camp per se, but I think he still makes the team, though. I think putting him back at backup free safety is probably where he should be. Geno Stone's been injured a lot. He's definitely on there. Darius Washington maybe your nickel corner, maybe your nickel starter. I think he's got the most time there. He's a young guy. I think he's earned his way definitely on the squad as a nickel corner. So definitely shout out to Darius Washington, absolutely being on the team. I think these five are locks. I don't think there's any way any of these guys are not on the team. I think Brandon Stevens, I think maybe giving them, if anybody on this list is giving them a little bit of pause, has not had a particularly great camp. But other than that, I think there's no question about it. Darius has been really good throughout the camp. Definitely earned his spot there. Special teams guys, the GOAT, Justin Tucker, Jordan Stout, Tyler Ott. Tyler Ott filling in for Nick Moore, who had the injury, and now he's out for the season. So these are going to be your special teams guys. Tucker hit a 60-yarder in practice, whatever. Jordan Stout. Mixed reports of what kind of camp he's at. We're not worried about Jordan Stout. I think he's good. And Tyler is an experienced long snapper. So there you go. There we're predicting the Ravens 53-man roster that is coming out here soon. That's probably, I think, those are my predictions of what it looks like week one. We never know. So some guys, they may keep an extra guy here. They may keep an extra guy here. Josh Johnson might make the team. I don't think he does, but you never know. That's the best part about having a situation like that is like who makes the team and who doesn't. It's great to predict what the team's going to look like. Also, too, special teams always factor in if they carry a fullback. I think that's a big one. They may carry an extra tight end. They may carry less linebackers. It all depends on the roster construction. That's what a 53-man roster is. What do they think gives them? Who are the guys think that gives them the best chance to win with the style a team wants to play? So all the 53-man rosters look different around the league. So keep that in mind as we go forward and check that out. All right, so we've been doing our list here, our top 10 list as well. So we're finishing up pretty much with this here the next 2 weeks. The next week is our last one. We're going to do the top 10 coaches in the NFL as well. But this week we're going to do our secondary. We're going to do our cornerbacks and safeties as well. Who are the top 10 corners in the NFL? Corner is a very interesting spot. It's one of the five, I think, you look at one of the positions on the field that's prioritized. So you got quarterback, not quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, especially left tackle, edge rush, and corner. But I have seen with corners, a little bit of a value on corners, a bit of a trend now, I think, to zone. So that kind of de-emphasizes corner a little bit. But these guys on the list are the very best in the league. Varies widely, depending on what exactly you're looking for in a corner. I would say, though, this trend in the corners, a lot of youth now, a lot of guys moving out, a lot of young guys. When I did this list, a lot of young guys now taking over the top spots as some of the best corners pack talent in the league. So keep that in mind when you have some of the best cornerbacks. So a lot of young guys. Enormously underrated guy, Travaris Ward for the 49ers. The 49ers have a stacked defense. So you talk about, we've already seen a lot of these guys on the list. We've already seen Fred Warner, Dre Greenlee, guys like Javon Hargrave, etc. But man, when you talk about their back end, it's kind of the least talked about. Their corner is very good. This guy is physical. Some corners, I think, are the speed guys, the Deion Sanders that cover all the time, and some guys are the hybrid, the combination. This guy's physical. I love the way he hits at the cornerback spot. So definitely he fits right in with that 49er defense. I think one of the reasons why they have good defense here, especially several good players, but Travaris Ward on the back end, I think that's their best corner as well. He goes number 9. Young A.J. Terrell for the the Atlanta Falcons. I love the way he runs. Love the way he runs. Unfortunately, he's kind of been overshadowed because the team hasn't been very good. But AJ Terrell, I think, is not even close to the best defender. Anybody can match AJ Terrell on that Falcons defense. Definitely, he's a guy who's ascending. He's one of these guys. He's here, but I think he could be higher on the list depending on what type of season he has. The team does better. But AJ Terrell is number 9. JC Horn, I think, is a guy is also ascending for Carolina. Look, Carolina has some good pieces here. I don't think the Carolina Panthers are going to be phoning in, even though they have the young quarterback. I think they wanted Bryce Young there because of the all the players that they have. That I think they feel like they have a chance to compete, especially in that division. One of these guys is J.C. Horn. You got Brian Burns rushing the passer, and I think this guy's very effective all around corner, very effective all around. Certain guys like we just talked about are speed guys, and this is an all around guy. This is a guy that can do multiple things well on the football field. I definitely think again, one of these young guys, man, we could see him if he has a good season. Man, this guy's top five. He's that good. He's got a lot of talent. JC Horn at number 8. Our guy, Marlon Humphrey. Again, injury notwithstanding, I think Marlon Humphrey is extremely underrated. There's nothing Marlon doesn't do well. I think he doesn't fill up the stat sheet as well. I think that's part of it, and he's kind of a quiet type guy. But teams he doesn't fill up the stat sheet because teams are not crazy enough to throw at him. He throws the ball. He's got great hands. He can pick the ball off. He doesn't get a ton of interceptions, but I think that's more because of that. And he has the ability to punch the ball out once he actually gets there. He has a lot of that, the punch the ball out as well. I think Marlon is extremely underrated as a corner. He's outstanding. Only thing this year, obviously, he's starting with injury. Had a few injuries the last few years. That's the only thing, maybe not higher with him. Trayvon Diggs. Always interesting talking about Trayvon Diggs. I think it's very interesting with him. He's going to get a lot of interceptions. Him and the Marcus Peters school, they teach guys not to look in the backfield, not to do some of the things he does, not to step guys up, et cetera, et cetera. As much as everybody loves it. You know why they don't teach it? Most guys can't do it. He can. He's a phenomenal defensive player. Last year, I think they tried to get him to do more traditional and he had fewer picks. This guy's going to get 5-6 picks every year he wants to. I'll take a Trayvon Diggs any day. It cannot lift the ball in his area. He's going to take it out of the sky and he's going to score. Trayvon Diggs, love to watch him. Why is he not higher than? Interesting to see if he's a great cover corner all the time. Although I do think he's better than he gets credit for. He's not just an interception guy. He's a guy who can cover some of the best wide receivers as well. So Trayvon Diggs, number 6. Darius Slay was nearly a Raven. Eagles was smart enough to swoop this guy up. Only negative with him, I think, is he's older. He's in his 30s. Like usually receivers, cornerbacks, usually as they get older, usually aren't still this good. But Darius Slay is really, really good. Darius Slay fights on every play. That's kind of the thing I think about with Darius Slay. He's always challenging, but you never see him 5 yards, 6 yards away from receiver. He's always right there. Even if a receiver makes a catch, or even if it doesn't always get an interception or swat the ball down or anything like that, he's always around the ball, always around his receiver. He never really seems to get beat much. Even again, Darius Slay, I think, is one of the better guys in the league. Nearly Ravens signed him, so they tried. number 5, Jalen Ramsey. For so many years, he's the default number 1. I think he's with the Rams last year, signed with the Dolphins. He's going to miss the start, I think, of this year as well. So he's sliding down a little bit. He's at 4. I don't think the slide is as big as some people are saying. I don't think he's falling. He's still really, really good. I think Ramsey doesn't give up many balls. I mean, he just doesn't. I think Ramsey is still very good. I think some of the injuries I think it's a question. He's getting older, so it's kind of a bit of a projection. But the on-field slide, I keep hearing people talk about, I don't really see it. I think he's really still in a lot of ways a good DB. There isn't a lot of air between Ramsey and the receivers very often. Some days, some days, I think more last season, guys caught more balls, or teams actually start throwing balls his way more, because I think the Rams were so bad. I think that was it. This guy's still really good. I think healthy number 4, but he is a little bit older, so I'm putting him down here a little bit because there's a lot of good young corners now in the league. Jair Alexander, if he's healthy, he is. I think right there. I think again, here's a guy fighting a few injuries. I think that's the only reason he's not higher. Watch him play Justin Jefferson. That's all you need to see. This guy is his best against the best. Challenges elite receivers, does well. They don't have great days going against this guy. That's what you need to know. That is an elite corner. That is a guy that you could put on an island by himself. It helps the whole defense when you have a guy like Jair Alexander on your team. You could definitely put him at 1, and I don't have a problem with that. I think I have him at 3 because of the injuries. He's missed a few games several times. But other than that, he's fantastic. Jair Alexander, number 3. Number 2, Patrick Surtain, I think, is one of the top cornerbacks in the entire NFL as well. Very good defensively. I think all-around guy, physically as well. His dad was also a very, very good corner as well during his playing days. Surtain, I think, was one of the top. His father was also one of the top corners. Surtain does everything well as a corner. Definitely makes that whole defense better. Really no weaknesses at all in his game that I could think of. Even trying to pick it apart. Patrick Surtain, you're gonna have a long day trying to actually do anything with him. Definitely stay away from him if your offense trying to throw the ball, and that's what teams are certainly gonna do. Not as physically gifted, however, as the number 1 guy, Hot Sauce Gardner, number 1. The thing that separates him for Surtain, and it's not a lot, but the size. That's what I like. He's also big physical guy with run. He can run with anybody, which is incredible. He's got great hands. You can't lift the ball in his area, and he's physical, and he can run with anybody. It's rare that you have a guy going into his second year, and I don't think he's the only one on this list going into his second year that you say he's the best in the league. Very rare. There's no question here. I think he's ahead of Surtain by a little bit, ahead of Zaire, ahead of Alexander by a little bit. But Hot Sauce Gardner, I think, is outstanding. I think the Jets defense was one of the top ones in the league, and it was because of the ability of Hot Sauce Gardner, I think, as their best defensive player. So Hot Sauce Gardner is the top corner in the NFL. All right, so let's go to our safety. Safety list is going to be interesting. You're going to look at 10 of these things, top 5, top 10 list safeties, and you're going to get 10 different things. It really depends on the defense you're running, the style of defense, the type. It varies wildly. So you're going to see a lot of different ones. There's no, in my opinion, right now, also, even at the top of the list, there's no Ed Reed in the league right now. There's no Troy Polamalu in the league right now. There's no Brian Dawkins in the league right now. Just to put a few names out there. There's no Ronnie Lott in the league right now. But what you do have is about 20, 25 really good players. I'll give you an example, a little bit of a spoiler. Marcus Williams not on the list. Kyle Hamilton not on the list. Diggs not on the list. There's a lot of good guys that you could easily put higher on the list that aren't on my list. So there's a lot of good talent at the safety position right now. These are 10 guys that I would want. So if I'm looking at here, these are 10 guys that I would want, I think are the top 10 right now in the league. Here's a guy, maybe a name you don't know, Kyle Duggar for the New England Patriots. Very good young guy for New England. New England is doing Bill Belichick's defenses are very good. Devin McCourty retired. I think this is the guy that takes over. You want a good all-around safety. That's what I like. I like a guy who does several things. You look at him play, and man, he's up on the line of scrimmage. He's covering. He does so many things well. Little smallish, I think, is probably the beef you have with him. He doesn't look like a strong safety, but he is. He's an outstanding strong safety. Definitely a guy I would take there. Kyle Duggar at 9. Great season last year. He had really elevated himself. One of the league leaders, I think, in interceptions. CJ Gardner-Johnson is at number 9. He was fantastic, I think, all year long for the Eagles. He's going to play for the Lions this year. You definitely have to have safeties that take the ball away, and this is definitely a guy that can help you do that. This is a guy definitely that's going to, if you go ahead and you throw to him, and definitely he's going to do that in his area. Got great range and can tackle. So some guys have that range, but they can also too. He can go ahead tackle as well. Not I wouldn't call him a hitter necessarily, but a good tackler. Also at number 9, CJ Gardner-Johnson, tackling machine here, Buda Baker. So I don't always necessarily love the PFF grades. With safeties because they really value, I think, tackle like all the time. That sounds like a good thing. Not to go too far into that, but tackling way down the field or tackling somebody and never missing a tackle when they look at safeties. This guy is a tackling machine. This guy is not like 100 plus tackles several times. So when you have a guy who's this proficient, who can run all over the field, is going to get a lot of tackles. I think that's a guy that you definitely want on your team, Buda Baker. Tremendous ability. I don't think he's that's kind of the thing though, what you think about with him as a guy as a tackle. You see him as a leader on the team. Definitely you could put him up at the line of scrimmage and tackle. That's the thing with Buda Baker that you see a lot of as well. I think maybe the best tackling, probably the best tackler on the list here of Buda Baker. That could be argued by this guy. Antoine Whitfield. I think he's another one that tackles very well. Really is solid all around. I think he's a little bit more all around than Buda Baker was. I think I like him, his ball skills and everything as well. He really tackles a lot. I think of him more in that same light as Buda Baker, but a little bit more ball skills there, a little bit more of a guy that can, maybe move him outside, a little bit more versatility here than I think you have with Buda Baker. That's why he's at 7. But an outstanding tackler as well. Antoine Whitfield. Definitely, look, that Bucs defense, I think, isn't bad. They're not supposed to be any good this year, but I think the defense is about their same. They're returning a lot of good players. So we'll see how that Bucs defense does. A little lower than somebody may have thought here. Justin Simmons is really good, though. I don't think he's been outstanding the last year or two as a comparison before. Some people might have him at 1 or 2, which is, look, like I said, these safeties, it was very, very, very hard to pin down. But I got a problem with Justin Simmons at 6. I think he's as good as anybody in the league. The versatility is outstanding with him. I think he is as good as any safety in the league, rangy as well. Great range for a safety, hits well. This guy hits well as well. So he's got range and he hits very well. That's the thing. There's a difference between guys who tackle well and hit well. This guy hits well. Can you do something when you get there? I think Justin Simmons is definitely a guy that can do that as well. The Bills safeties, Micah Hyde, fantastic. This guy, I love their Bills safeties. I think one of the reasons why the Bills defense has been good as it was, they have outstanding safeties. Injuries are the only things we're here is I can think about, and he's about 30. But there's nothing Micah Hyde doesn't do well on the football field. Covers well. He can cover outside. He can cover in the slot. He hits a tremendous hitter and tackler. Him and that tandem they have in Buffalo is outstanding. Micah Hyde, I think this is good as anybody in the league. I think it's more of a projection that he's at 5, being his age and injury history. That's it. On the field, he's just fantastic. Micah Hyde at number 5. Kevin Bard, a couple years ago, led the league in interceptions. I think definitely kind of under the radar, even as good as he is. But definitely a guy, when you look at the Titans defense, this guy is their linchpin. Definitely a guy you want to stay away from him. I think that's what teams do a lot of times. You don't want to go anywhere near this guy, but he's fantastic. Range is fantastic. Can definitely take the ball away. Definitely, I see a lot of every film study in him. Where a guy is, I don't think he's athletically as gifted, but you can tell like he's definitely watching the film, definitely studying, definitely making. He seems to get into the right spot a lot. Seems to be best thinker if there is such a thing, and that's it. I mean, definitely that's the thing I like about him. The leadership with Kevin Bard, I really like him. Number 4. The other Bills safety, Jordan Poyer. I think he's just healthier than Micah Hyde. I think him and Micah Hyde are enormously talented. I love Jordan Poyer. I really had him really as one of the best defensive players in all football last year. That's what I think of him. He was outstanding. I think and again, everything he does well. Also, he's now playing with another outstanding player. Again, over 30. That's the thing. Can he maintain this? I've seen nothing to make me think though that he can't. But he's fantastic. Jordan Poyer, definitely you could put. I think this guy you could put him at linebacker. He'd still be a top 10 player at that position. That's how good Jordan Poyer. Jordan Poyer, outstanding at number 3. Micah Fitzpatrick. Now we can fill up the stat sheet. This guy was traded for a pick from the Dolphins first round pick, and it's like everybody thought that was kind of crazy. It's like, why would you trade for? He's been probably the Steelers' best player on defense, not named TJ Watt. Where would they be without him? I think the corners have kind of struggled, but I think this is also why this guy really stands out. Definitely, you're not going to lift the ball his area. He's going to take it away. Mike Fitzpatrick. Definitely, he runs well. He tackles well. I think he does that well, but he really has that ability to take the ball away. Really has that knack for doing it. I don't think there's any question about it. With him, I think he's actually helped carry a really good defense. Micah Fitzpatrick for the Steelers. Number 1 on the list, Derwin James for the LA Chargers. The only thing that's stopping him is his ability to stay on the field. That's why it's not an easier, higher conversation. But other than that, he's been fantastic the way he's been played all year long. He's been outstanding. Derwin James, I think, is number 1. Everything that you want in a safety. Everything you want in a safety. And he's an A+. He's an A+ tackler. He's an A+ receiver. He's an A+ in every area. So Derwin James is your number 1 guy at safety. All right, let's move along. Not to cover today, so I'm moving along really quick there. I'll cover there, and we're talking about our baseball summer. Our last 2 next week, we'll talk about the Little League World Series as well. So we're going to talk about. We talked about the Dominican League team last week, and we're going to talk about the Orioles. We talked about the Orioles black last week. I think this week it says black there. I think I got the wrong graphic up, but we're going to talk about the orange. All right, so we did talk about the black last week, so now we're going to talk about get you off of the screen, Turkey. I think my mom she calls everybody a jive turkey. It's a jive turkey. Get that jive turkey thing off the screen there, jive turkey. All right, we're going to talk about the Orioles orange performance, minor league performance. So there are 2 levels of the Orioles minor league Dominican League team. So some teams have enough to play 2 teams. The Orioles are playing 2 teams, and they are orange and black. So last week we talked about the black. This week we are going to talk about the orange. Chris Madera is the coach. He has been there a very, very long time. I'm sorry. No, he's about 30 years old and he played in the minor league system. So he's a young guy, rather. I'm sorry. The coach last week has been there a long time. This guy's about 30 years old. He played in the minor league system for the Orioles. And so this is probably that's how they found him, and he went ahead and became coach. Ellis Cuevas is the Ellis Cuevas is the first baseman played at the Dominican Republic. 2 home runs, 28 RBIs, 305 average, as well, having a good season. Fernando Puguello, he's 18 years old, 2 home runs, 27 RBIs. He's been their best hitter all season. Looking at the stats and everything, 330 batting average. Elvis Rojas playing a lot of outfield for them, 17 years old, young guy, no home runs, but he's got 22 RBIs, 7 stolen bases, hitting with a 248 average. He's been their best guy in the outfield. Always look at catchers too. Whenever you have levels like this, best athletes a lot of times they're a catcher, they're at shortstop, and they're pitchers, obviously. So Meja is 16 years old, 1 home run, 22 RBIs, 277 average. Luis Greva from the Venezuela, even though he's playing in the Dominican Republic, he's got no home runs yet, but 21 RBIs, 16 steals, 318 average. So he's doing very well. Lots of stolen bases in this league. So you have a lot of young guys. Even Cuevas and Progreo, they are young guys that are obviously playing well as well. They have a lot of steals as well, even though they have home runs and RBIs. So not a league in general, a team in general, not with those big home run RBI numbers, but a lot of steals. Had to have Luis Amada there. Why is he there? Definitely. He's been injured a lot this year. However, he is probably got the highest contract in the history of the Orioles as far as international signings. So definitely a guy they have high hopes for as well. Not great this year because he hasn't played much, but definitely a guy they have a lot of high hopes for. Cesar Espinal as well, 2-1, probably their best pitching. They've kind of struggled with the pitchers this year, it looks like, but he's been their best guy. This is where it's going to have to come from the minors, from the smaller schools there, from the as far as from the minors. The pitching prospects are not great in the organization, so they're not just looking at these guys as guys that play here and that's it. They're looking for these guys that can really help them in the future. So definitely keep that in mind. The minor league system. So definitely too, Mike Elias is starting to succeed with some of his minor league guys there, minor league prospects. It's definitely not easy to go ahead and get young guys like this. They take many, many years to develop, but I think it's an excellent start that at least the Orioles now are taking this seriously and getting minor league talent as far as their team goes. So definitely keep that in mind. Definitely need to stock up on the pitching talent. I keep saying that, but definitely that's why I really so invested in seeing these guys in the Dominican Republic, seeing how well they do, because they definitely need pitchers to actually go ahead and step up for them. So definitely we're going to go ahead and check that out as well. All right. So we'll go through this fairly quickly here, but our MLB tiers again. So we do this periodically. We kind of break them down in groups of 6. There are 30 teams. So who are the 6 best, who are 6 mediocre, et cetera, et cetera. This is more true to the standings now. Also, too, in some cases, when you say there's hope or whatever, maybe we're talking about next year, maybe we're talking about the future, maybe we're talking about going in the right direction. We got about a month left, so I think some of you fans that are Oriole fans, I want y'all to take a look at teams that are not just the Orioles, see how the rest of the league is doing as well. So don't just, it's fine to just watch it. I know a lot of you, some of you just may be interested in Oriole games, but definitely how do the rest of the teams stack up when you're actually looking at them as well. So these are the MLB's elite teams. Rays, I have them in the elite category. I think they're outstanding as well. Shane McClanahan, I think the best pitcher, though, Tommy John. Not going to have him the rest of the year. And Lord only knows, God only knows what's going on with Wander Franco. That situation. Hopefully, it's not the way it sounds for everybody involved. He's in quite a bit of an issue there, so that could affect them as well. Um, but they're still elite. I still have them in the elite category. The other teams on the list, I don't think there's any question. Astros, I think, are just kind of walking into their own. They went and got Justin Verlander. Kyle Tucker is a name that's not said much. Young Kyle Tucker is fantastic for them. They have a lot of good young hitters as well. So they have that veteran pitching, etc. But they are outstanding. Dodgers, of course, are there. Dodgers almost kind of went under the radar this year. A lot of talk about the Padres, et cetera, and all they've kept doing lately is just win a lot of games. They're right there as well. Orioles, best record in the American League. Do you have enough starters if you're the Orioles? That's the only thing. You're doing everything else well. Your bullpen is outstanding. Your defense is outstanding. Yeah, your offense is outstanding. I think you're getting timely hitting. The Orioles is quite scared. It looks like they might have 3 guys with 30 plus home runs. So yeah, their Orioles are in really good shape. Rangers scuffling a bit lately. They've lost a few games in a row, but I'm not too worried about the Rangers. I think they're going to turn that back around. I think they're as good as anybody. But they're in a tough division, and they got a pretty good fight on their hands there as well. Braves, best team I think in all of baseball. I don't think there's any question about it. I've kind of thought that at the beginning of the year. I kind of still think that now. I think they're really good. So many guys. Probably the guy that's challenging Acuna for the MVP is their own guy, Matt Olson. He's brought his average up, and he's just been outstanding. So we know Braves are really good. Good teams, playoff contenders. These 2 teams here, I think at the top, are kind of knocking on that elite category. Phillies, I've said it for the last couple of years, and it's definitely true. They kind of go as Bryce Harper goes. With all the talent that they have, it's very, very clear to me. Like whenever Bryce Harper plays and plays well, they don't lose a lot of games. Whenever he's out, which is a bit or missed games, then they kind of drop down in the good category, the average category. Like they kind of go as he goes. So that's a big thing with them. Mariners are bang on that elite category. They were really finishing strong. I think they went ahead and they traded away. I like their starting pitching: George Kirby, Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert. They went ahead and traded away Paul Sewald, and then they got Andres Munoz, young guy. So that kind of reminded me of what the Orioles kind of did last year with Phil Batista when they traded away the closer. They already had a guy they knew they wanted to be the closer in strong form. Brewers, I think, have been strong for a while. The division's not really good, but they're pretty good. I got really no problem with them. Offense of guy Yelich, Riley Tellez, they're pretty good. I think they're ahead of the Cubs, and the Cardinals have really fallen off. Giants are I'm putting them in a good because their record says they're good. I think they might get into play. I think you got to at this point say the legitimate playoff contender. Michael Concerto is really good, and I think they're probably in the good guy. I really would like to see them pick up another bat as well, but I think they're pretty good. Red Sox are good. I think they're just in the wrong division to go ahead and move anywhere. I think like they've been pretty good. Devers has been fantastic for them all year long. They have great pitching. Chris Sale's been back for him. I don't know about that. I don't have great pitching. Offensively, they're not that bad though. I think the Jays are really good too. I think the Phillies and the Mariners are knocking on that elite. The only thing wrong with the Jays, they're not losing. You got to beat the really good elite teams, and I think that's kind of where they struggled as well. But they have everything you need. Vlad Guerrero, obviously, outstanding. Kevin Biggio, Bo Bichette, they've been outstanding. So they're good enough to actually beat anybody. They just got to do better against the elite team. That's kind of where they've struggled as well. Decent teams. Twins. They're going to win that division by default. I don't think anybody else wants to win it. So definitely you got to put them in the playoffs. Um, Again, more people like the Cubs than I like them. I don't. There's something there, but they kind of go on these roles, and I think people like the Cubs, so they want the Cubs. But I'm not as big on the Cubs as some other people are. Uh, Reds are kind of sliding down. I think this is probably where they are, kind of decent. They have some good players. They have parts. They don't have, I don't see a whole complete team with them. They might get into the playoffs, but they have some issues. Marlins, I think they're kind of playing above their heads all year long. I think they have good starting pitching, offensive players. This is not there. Just they'll score enough runs. They kind of go through stretches where they do, but I think the fact that they're even here, I think, is a testament to that. The opposite is true with the Yankees. They got real issues. Um, Garrett Cole's been good. Gabriel Torres has been good. You're not worried about Judge, Aaron Judge. Obviously, after that, big problems with them. I think they are. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. I mean, that's why they're kind of in this category because it's kind of hard to tell. Like, when do we ever see them with a whole team and healthy and whole? I haven't seen it, so it's kind of hard to say. Diamondbacks have really struggled at the second half. Let's see how they finish at the end. I think Zach Gallen and some of the pitching and they just kind of fell really quick. They had some tough losses. Not sure how they're going to finish. Either way, Guardians, they should be winning more games, in my opinion, but they just got to take it either way. Nats have had to fight up. Good for them. They've actually been, I think some of the young players are starting to develop, so they're starting to get there. They have a shot at the playoffs. Not a great shot, but I think it's still there. Tigers, kind of the same. Torkelson starting to come around for them. They got a lot of young guys. We'll see how that goes. Padres and Mets, yeah. The fact that they're back here is kind of not good. We keep saying they're going to show up next day. Next day it doesn't happen. Keep saying it. Mets kind of the same thing. I think they've kind of raised the white flag. They have way too much talent to be back here. I think their pitching isn't as good as they thought it was. That's the big thing with them. Angels, they're getting Mike Trout back, and now you get a Shohei injury. I don't know how bad that's going to be. So definitely teams back. Those three with talent struggling. Really quick at the end, not good. A's historically bad. Royals historically bad. Pirates bad run at the end outside of the first month. White Sox no pitching at all. Rockies one or two good players, and Cardinals in total rebuild at this point. I total faith in the Cardinals that they're going to go ahead and turn it around because they've been very good for the last few years. First losing season they've had in the last 15 years. All right, Orioles report. Your Baltimore Orioles, according to the great Rex Barney. That's the way he would put it. Love Rex. If you ever heard of Rex Barney radio show, he's total opposite of what you hear nowadays with the shock jock. Rex was so nice. Yes, we appreciate you calling me. You were such a nice guy. I'm real. Just total opposite of what you hear nowadays. It definitely would work nowadays. Let's go with 5 things with the Orioles real quick. Orioles report. We're going to change how we do this. Kind of maybe get a little more structure to it. Orioles sweep 3-0 in Oakland. That's what you're supposed to do. So you're supposed to beat bad teams. A's are historically bad. Total disgrace what the league is doing to a franchise that I grew up watching with Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire, Ricky Henderson, and just total disgrace. And that's what you're supposed to do. They won 3 straight games. They actually do have one more season in Oakland, believe it or not. What I heard was they have a lease for next year. Go ahead and let them out of the lease, Oakland. They don't want to be there. That's the thing. The Orioles on the field did take care of business and take care of that as well. Jack Flaherty scratched from his start against the Blue Jays. Dean Kramer took his spot and did win the game. So good for him that he won, Dean Kramer. Flaherty, again, this time of year, aches and pains and things like that. And some guys just sit out, etc. Not taking any cautions. They're definitely going to want this guy in the playoffs. Him and Gibson are the two pitchers they have that have been in the playoffs before. So you definitely don't want to take any chances with it down the stretch. So I applaud Brandon Hyde for actually getting that done. This surprised me. Mike Baumann sent to AAA Austin Voth taken back. My first thought when I posted it is like, okay, well, he's going to be back in September, I would think. He's actually struggled more lately than I thought. His ERA is in the fives. That's more than I thought. I think though this is more take a break than take a hike. They're just going to give him a little bit of rest. He struggled a bit. They're going to expand the roster soon, get both on the roster, and have Bowman come back like after September 1st when they go ahead and expand the rosters. Also, 6-3 total on the West Coast trip that they've done. So they beat against the Air Mariners, A's, and Padres. Lost 2 out of 3 to the Padres. Went ahead, beat the Mariners as well, and won all 3 against the A's. 6-3 total. Good job. West Coast trip, like you usually have a losing record. That just tells you how good the Orioles have been all year long, as well. So good job for the Orioles overall, as well. Haven't swept a series. And I heard the great Skip Carey a long time ago talk about the Braves when the Braves were awful in the 80s. Well, they got just get back to respectability, win 2 out of 3, and then you get back to and Skip was exactly right. You have to win 2 out of 3. You keep doing that, and all of a sudden, what does your record look like? That's what the Orioles have been doing all year long. So shout out for that as well. And John Angelos, he's asked again about the payroll and everything like that's going on, when we're going to see some extensions, etc. And again, I'm paraphrasing, but this is a quote. He said, well, we're a middle market team. We have to raise ticket prices massively. Oh, God. John, I'm trying, dude. I stop saying crazy stuff like this. Stop talking this way. I encourage you fans to watch Locked On Orioles. My man Connor Newcomb, he just killed this guy. And I could go over the numbers as well, but I agree with 100% that it's a bunch of it's a bunch of nonsense when you say you can't pay players. I think the only thing that there is true to is there's a lawsuit on right now that the Orioles have, so maybe they're leery to spend money, but there's definitely enough money to go ahead and re-sign a bunch of these guys. You could definitely do Adley extension, Gunnar extension, and he also said that he didn't know because of the middle market status of the team that they ever could get a Cal Ripken or whatever. I hate even talking about him because we're having a great season here, and he keeps saying stupid stuff to diminish the fans' intensity. So I'm not going to spend too much time on him. Let's just focus on the field and not talk about the stupid owner that we got. This guy obviously doesn't have a clue. All right. Thank you very much for joining us this week. Like and subscribe to all of our videos. Check us out on all of our social media platforms. Thank you for joining us this week for the Ravery Sports Podcast. You have a great